What's up, everybody? Mike here. And with Assassin's Creed Shadows launching later this year, November 15th, it's already going to, have high expectations from a lot of us, myself included, to just be a better game for the franchise, do the other games that came before justice, as well as be its own thing, try to innovate, be something different, overall, add some new elements that isn't the same Ubisoft formula that we've gotten used to. I say this too because Assassin's Creed is my favorite franchise from Ubisoft. I have loved this series since the first game. And for a long time, or at least a little while anyway, each new sequel that came out was doing something more better, adding more stuff a little bit more to the gameplay, story, other elements, things like that. One thing, though, I'm very upset by, and I know a lot of people are upset, and they've probably stopped because of this reason, is the fact that a lot of people stepped away from the series once they killed Desmond, who was the main character in the present time, who was the protagonist in the present time within this, this franchise's lore, how they set up, or at least he was at the time. And I don't know what happened. I don't think this, the voice actor couldn't do the character anymore for some other reason, other obligations, what have you. I don't know. Or they just had a split for different reasons because of some drama. I don't know. But for a lot of people, they checked out when Desmond died, and Desmond was such a great character in terms of the present day main protagonist, and the whole idea of us having to use the Animus, this machine that allows us to go back in time and relive through certain periods of history. That's like a great concept. And it feels like Ubisoft has lost some of that touch, that spark, that somewhat uniqueness to what this franchise used to be. Because I don't think there was much of present day stuff in the last three open world RPG versions like Origins, Odyssey, and Valhalla. And they focus more on the historical time periods than anything else. Not saying those periods shouldn't get their love too and the respect and justice they deserve, but at the same time, you set up a present day story that hasn't really progressed in the way that it should, I feel like, in some ways, So I'm hoping that this can be a true or better return to form in some ways for Ubisoft when it comes to Assassin's Creed. Assassin's Creed Mirage came out last year and was a small scale, small size game, sort of returning to some of the roots of the series that made the franchise really fun in the beginning, with the more sort of like linear or semi-open world type of elements and things like that, because I really enjoyed the series before it became open world RPG. And now we finally got an Assassin's Creed set in Japan. Not just a game, but a franchise that a lot of fans that have been clamoring for to want to have set in Japan. Let's play in Japan. Let's go Japan. Be Shinobi, be Samurai, whatever have you. And we're finally getting it. And I feel like this puts a lot of pressure on Ubisoft to deliver on a game that still holds up to the lineage that the previous games have set up, and also expand that, be a better game in some way, if not many ways, than the previous games. Then you can't forget that this is already being compared to Ghost of Tsushima and Rise of the Ronin, which just came out recently, like a month or two ago, and Ghost of Tsushima just dropped on PC. It's gotta stand out from those two. It has to find ways to stand out, and I hope it does. And with that said, I want to go over 10 things I want to see in this game that I think would hopefully improve it a lot overall. And let me know in the comments below if you might agree with me on this or have some of the same thoughts as I do. But let's start off with denser and more distinct cities. So this series started out, especially with the earlier games, before it went open world RPG, like the cities were so much more denser, had more character to them, just looked better overall, especially with the structures and how the people were animated and moved and cities, stuff like that, for the most part, at least to me. Obviously I'm talking about older games too that didn't not necessarily probably look the best compared to now, or didn't, technology was different back then too. So, I think that's subjective at the end of the day, as far as like if you liked how it looked or whatever. But for me, at least, I loved when the cities, towns, villages, anything like that you explored were more denser, had a more of a character, more distinct, versus the open worldness, where it's like we don't really get that with open world games a lot. With the Assassin's Creed series, Origins, Odyssey, and Valhalla, just these really big maps the cities, towns, stuff like that didn't really feel too, I don't know, too memorable overall. I felt like, sure, we had certain landmarks and places, things like that, that we could check out and go to, but it's like you go there for a mission or whatever, or just to explore, and it's like, cool, okay, yeah, I had my fun time being here hanging out, you know, photo mode, all that, use that. I'm gone now. I don't know. So I'm hoping that this gets worked on quite a bit in Assassin's Creed Shadows. You know, make the world more dense overall. Let's see some cool stuff from Japan that is memorable. Adding on to that, more biome diversity. So I want this to be, you know, a really key focus for Shadows, because we should have more biome diversity overall with this next game. I know they said it's supposed to be similar in size as Origins, and Origins is still a pretty big map. So I think they can do that, especially with them not having to focus on as much like resources and assets, because I think Odyssey and Valhalla are both bigger than Origins like world map. So if they, you know, have a smaller map then compared to Odyssey and Valhalla to work with, I'm hoping that this means they can add some more biome diversity in there as well too. You know, give us some unique mechanics or unique like areas in the game to try and traverse, to go through and trek through, things like that. Try to maybe figure out how to navigate through it a little more differently than just on foot or on horseback, you know, things like that. A more reactive world overall. So something that to some extent, you know, at least a few of the older games did do, because especially when, you know, you had to be careful about accidentally assassinating a citizen NPC or whatever, because it was like game over at that point or something like that in certain games. Or you would build up this, like, I think essentially like a wanted level or something like that, or notoriety level, and if you did too much, yeah, you you done messed up there. So I would love it if they had a more reactive world to what you do and things like that. I know in some of your early games too, they would like actually react to you, like climb at the walls, like be like, what you doing? Why is he doing that? Da da, you know, things like that. And I love that. I really did, because I was just like, I would talk smack back to them, like, don't worry about what I'm doing. I'm doing my thing. So I would love it if the world is more reactive, or goes kind of back to that reactive type of like feel in what you do with your actions. Have the world react to you better and more organically. Less repetitive activities and quests. Oh my goodness, this is a big problem for open world RPGs in general. Like, the repetitive activities and quests overall. This includes main quests and side quests. I understand we're playing an assassin, and usually the goal is to either knock out or us, you know, kill our target, depending on what the heck is going on in terms of story, what we gotta do. But to credit them to an extent, you know, they try to give us a fair amount of like tools to use besides just a hidden blade. There's also to use, but at the same time, change up the formula a bit. You know, take a risk, be bold, stop playing it safe with so many repetitive quests and activities. Differentiate. Have maybe the same activity or quest be a thing for like, as far as what you gotta do for like maybe 4 or 5 quests, and like at a time or something like that. I think Rebirth honestly did a great job of that, where it's like, yeah, you had these sort of checklists of side stuff and quests and what to do, but it's usually like you do it 3 to 5 times and then you don't do it again for a lot of stuff, or at least certain stuff in that game. So that way it didn't feel like, oh, I'm getting tired of this, or even when I did get fatigue of side stuff, something new will pop. It's like, okay, cool, this is now the new engaging thing to do. So I want them to try and have more and better engaging activities and quests, essentially. Adding on to that, meaningful side quests. Like, once again, I'm going to refer to Rebirth with the side quests in that game, at least certain ones at least, felt really meaningful, as far as whether they added more context to your overall main narrative, or they gave you something really cool as a reward that you couldn't get any other way if you didn't do the side quests, right? So meaningful side quests, or at least more meaningful side quests that give you stuff that you wouldn't get otherwise, and adds more context to the overall story, or the main story in the game set up. This next one, I combine these two: improve stealth and parkour. Not saying the stealth in parkour has been completely bad by any means, but this is something where I think with the technology we have today can be vastly improved on, feel maybe more natural, more organic, more fun, more engaging overall. You know, because this started off as a stealth action game initially before it went to the RPG genre. So, and because when the RPG genre, like you kind of lose that sense of need to be stealthy all the time, like, and you don't have to worry about really killing citizens accidentally more. You can kind of kill whoever you want, at least in the last few games, and it doesn't really like phase you or affect you in the game like that. So, I would like it if they just made this better, made it more, you know, I don't know, fluid, more innovative in a way, that we do something different. Once again, just take a risk. Improved enemies and bosses, kind of going off of what I want with improved stealth and parkour. Improved enemies and bosses. Okay, I am tired of a lot of these games in general. And it's not just open world RPGs or open world games, but a lot of games will have very stupid AI when it comes to AI enemies, where they'll just stand there like, you know, chilling there like a dummy, not really notice you, and not really be challenging. Now, don't get me wrong. When it's done well and smart, and yeah, you are in a position in the game to where they're not supposed to see you and they definitely don't see you, and you go in for the kill, especially in Assassin's Creed games, yeah, that makes sense. All right, don't get me wrong. But I need the enemies, I want them to be more challenging. I want them to be more smarter. I don't want it to be too easy. That's just me. I'm tired of like enemy AI in games like Assassin's Creed and other ones similar to it, just being really dumb, not really challenging at all, and just kind of brainless or brain dead. It's like, come on. And the bosses, as far as how the boss fights are, I don't want them to feel repetitive. I want them to feel fun, engaging, feel different. Each boss should have its own unique thing that you got to do, or have unique attacks and attack patterns you got to get used to and learn, things like that. I don't have to keep having to always do the same thing, because then it's just like monotonous. It's tedious at that point. Meaningful differences between characters. So the two protagonists we got, right? We got a female Japanese shinobi and we got a black samurai in Yasuke, okay? And so Naoi and Yasuke, all right? Naoi is going to be more of the, like, I guess seem like more of the traditional assassin, whereas Yasuke is going to be your kind of big brute samurai guy, essentially your heavy hitter. And that makes sense. I'm hoping there's enough differences there in their gameplay. We haven't seen gameplay yet at this point, but I'm hoping there's enough differences in gameplay between them to make them both feel unique, distinct. Like, honestly, give them their own separate skill trees. Please. Like, do that. Have them have different abilities that are unique to them. That would be amazing. Not only that, their personalities, the way they're written, have them written well enough that, like, okay, they are different in certain ways, but are able to get along really well, even if they argue or, you know, banter and this and that at times. So that'd be really good, I think, too. You get the idea. Improved loot, or like loot system. So I say this too because Team Ninja's guilty of this, especially with their loot system. And previous AC games have, like, at least Odyssey and Valhalla especially. Well, no, Valhalla did improve upon this, actually. I'm sorry, let me retract that. It's Origins and Odyssey that are really bad at this when it came to the loot system, and just like you get meaningless loot, like loot that doesn't matter because it wasn't really worth investing in. You get something better not too long after that. Valhalla did fix this to a degree, so I want to keep, you know, I want to see that keep being a thing, and them to improve upon it in Assassin's Creed Shadows. Like, have the loot feel more valuable. Don't just like have be this constant barrage of loot. No, have different loot, mean something, have it actually affect your build or builds in this game. I would love it if this game offered build variety for each character, and like I said earlier, a skill tree for each character, so that way you can sort of build them how you want, and hopefully you can build at least up to 3 different type of play styles with each character. That'd be awesome in my opinion. To have them at least play 3 different ways, to add more replayability, to add more, you know, engaging combat with them respectively, and to make you want to like try some stuff out more with them, essentially. Lastly, way less bloat. I think a lot of us can agree with this when it comes to these open world games, and especially the Assassin's Creeds, the last 3, as far as the open world ones with Origins, Odyssey, and Valhalla, way too bloated, all of them. I think Valhalla was the worst one with the bloat. Stop it, Ubisoft. Stop it. Not Ubisoft. A lot of you devs, stop this, okay? Stop bloating your games just to add artificial time or whatever the heck to the game for players. Stop it, all right? Especially with content that is either too repetitive, not fun, not engaging, or not engaging enough. just, I want way less bloat overall when it comes to questing, activities, and other stuff you got to do. Just stop it. Please, please. I want this to be a way less bloated game, more denser, have better gameplay mechanics overall. The characters feel different. Not just two main characters, but, you know, other characters that are historical, you know, Nobunaga and other ones have their own unique personalities, have some very charismatic personalities too. And, you know, I want to hate the villain. I want to, you know, root for the good guys and essentially, and, you know, like other characters in between, things like that. So way less bloat, better writing overall. I'm hoping for this. So that's my list. I know I kind of expanded on it, went a little bit longer than I intended to, but that's how I feel about this, because I do love this franchise, and I'm going to give it tough love when I can. Also, Ubisoft, stop with the dumb early access shit with the gold and ultimate editions. Oh my god. Sorry, I almost forgot to talk about that real quick. You want to charge $110, $130 that includes a season pass, a day one quest that's locked off, unless you get the freaking gold or ultimate edition, and 3 days early access. No, I'm sorry. I get you're a business, but no. Other companies are doing it better than you when it comes to that, and are offering better content overall, and y'all keep messing up with doing this stuff. You did it with Star Wars Outlaws, you did it with, I think, you might have did it with Avatar as well. I forgot if that early access or not, but either way, I get that the games are getting more expensive to make, but come on now. Come on. Really? 110 and 130 for gold and ultimate edition respectively. And we don't even know exactly all what comes into that season pass. I know it's like story DLC, but it's like, we don't even know if that shit's going to be even good or not, you know? I'm just saying, it's just like, come on, man. Come on, just stop it. But they're not going to, as much as I complain about it and, you know, voice my opinion. They're not, because the higher ups, that's what they want. So that's all I got, though. That's what I have to say about this. I'm still looking forward to Assassin's Creed Shadows regardless, but, you know, let me know your thoughts in the comments below about this. If you agree with some of the stuff I've pointed out when it comes to the actual game design and what you feel they should improve upon when it comes to game design, game mechanics, things like that, and quests, just like that I talked about. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, subscribe if you're new. My name's Mike. Thanks for watching.